Hey guys, Southern and Sandy here. Today is, my first video ever here on YouTube. And I wanted to come and talk to you about basically the septate uterus. That is what I've been diagnosed with. That's what a lot of women have been diagnosed with. It is one of the most common abnormalities found in the uterus. However, it can be kind of tricky, it seems, to find information on this. Not necessarily like what it is or how to treat it, but the things that people ask questions about. How much does it cost to have this treated? What do they do to treat it? What are my options? What can I do to make it better for myself? There isn't really anything you can do besides surgery with a septate uterus. A septate uterus and a bicornuate uterus often get mixed up with each other. I was actually diagnosed first with a bicornuate uterus for like 10 years and was just recently told a year ago, no, you have a septate uterus. And I just had an MRI a couple months ago to verify that it was a septate uterus instead of a bicornuate. Normally, an MRI is really the only for sure method of being able to verify that you have a septate uterus and not a bicornuate. Like I said, they are often confused with each other, and it's very easy to see why. A bicornuate uterus is shaped like this. So it is often called a heart-shaped uterus. So the top of the uterus is indented downward and creates this little septum here, which are my fingers. And a septate uterus is straight across like a normal uterus, except for there is a septum that grows down the middle that is not attached. Well, it is attached to the top here, but it's not this. It's this. So a septate uterus can be corrected with surgery. A bicornuate uterus cannot, because I have seen some where you can correct a bicornuate uterus. However, a lot of doctors don't like to do it because the septum that is attached, to the top can affect the structure of the uterus itself. So a septate uterus is just a little thing of tissue that has grown to make a septum down the center. So they can just cut away that septum, no big deal. Whereas if they try to remove the septum in a bicornuate, it could affect the two parts of the top that have come together to create that septum instead of just extra tissue that's grown. So the main issue with the septate uterus is that it makes it very, very hard to have a successful live birth. About 80% of women who have a septate uterus have a miscarriage. And about, I think the number's like 85 to 90% do not have a live birth. So having the surgery to remove the septum can be a total life-changing experience when it comes to planning for a family. This is not considered a fertility treatment. So if you're worried, oh, my insurance isn't going to cover it, it's considered a fertility treatment. If your doctor codes it right, which they should, it is an abnormality that's being corrected. It's not a fertility treatment. This is not keeping you from getting pregnant. However, it is keeping you from it can keep you from having a live birth. There are plenty of women who've had live births, healthy babies, healthy pregnancies, everything, and they're great. However, like I said, the number is very, very high for those who have miscarried or who have, had a stillbirth, and that's really unfortunate. So I've talked to my doctors over the years since I was like 16, and once I was about in my early to mid-20s, I've been married since I was 19, and doctors would always be like, well, are you all planning for a family right now? And I'd say, no, we're not. We're not ready to start a family. And they're like, well, then there's really no point to do anything because you're not looking to start a family yet. That's literally what I've been told. And that sucks. That really sucks. And finally, I put my foot down and I was just like, look, I'm not even going to try for a family if my chance of having a miscarriage is so high. No, if there's a treatment to fix that, why wouldn't I have that treatment if this is what I have? I have an 80% chance of a miscarriage. Why would I put myself and my husband through that if I don't have to? That was my logic behind it. I know surgeons and doctors have their own logic behind why they say the things that they say and why they do the things that they do. A lot of my care was also through military doctors because my husband was in the military and I was also in the military as well. We were not in at the same time. We were in at two different times, but yes. So I went through the military healthcare system when he was in as his spouse, and then I went through the military healthcare system, you know, when I was in. And it's kind of funny. I actually got taken care of better when I was in as far as treating this. It seemed like doctors just more or less wanted to, you know, find out for me. Whereas when I was just a spouse under my husband, it didn't really seem like they were too willing to help. It seemed like a lot of cluelessness. And yes, they were in two different areas. My husband and I were not stationed in the same state whenever we were in. I got stationed in Hawaii. My husband was stationed in North Carolina. So we lived in Texas, where we were born and raised, and then moved to North Carolina, and then moved to Hawaii. So yeah. So it's been pretty crazy. A lot of times, though, military doctors, they don't like to do surgery if they don't have to, because of course you're being put out of your job for a while when you have surgery, plus a bunch of other things. Anyway, so I finally, now that I'm out, I have a doctor here back at home who she's willing to do the surgery for me. And it's not like a lot of doctors have said no, just a lot of them are just like, well, if you're not planning to have a family right now, there's really no point. My husband and I were both 28, and even though we still don't have any children, and we're still not ready for a family, we're hoping to start a family in the next year or two. But my surgeon completely understood that, you know, I don't want to go in trying if I have a high chance of miscarrying or losing the baby. So she was completely open to that. She's like, I totally understand, you know, I completely agree with you. So she agreed to do the surgery for me, and she's also going to do a surgery, a laparoscopy, to check to see if I have endometriosis, because I have very, very painful periods normally if I'm not on birth control. Currently, I'm on Nexplanon, which is the implant that goes in your arm. I've been on that for about a year and a half, 2 years. I like it. It's pretty good. But yeah, I think I've got about like another year-ish left on it. And then it'll be removed. So either then we'll try to start a family, or I'll have another one put in for like a year and a half, then I'll have it removed, and we'll try for a family, something like that. So, I feel like I'm giving like so much information so rapidly fast. So I'm scheduled to have my surgery at the end of September. Common things that can happen after the surgery is, you know, a lot of bleeding and discomfort, of course. Hopefully I do not have endometriosis. However, it would be an explanation as to why I have such painful periods. My doctor thinks, you know, that I have it, and, you know, it kind of sucks if I do, but at least if I do, it's an answer. I try to look at the glass half full when it comes to medical diagnostics, and that is, you know, if there's something wrong with you and you're not able to fix it or correct it, and doctors aren't sure what it is, at least if you go in and you get an answer for what it is and how it can be treated, at least you have an answer. The diagnosis may suck, or it may be heartbreaking, but if there's a way to correct it, if there's something to do to fix it, or a medication you can be put on to stabilize it, that's so much better than doctors just being like, I don't know, I'm not sure. Or we can't diagnose you with anything because, well, we don't know. You know, that sucks. That's heartbreaking. So, yeah, having endometriosis would suck, but being diagnosed would be an answer as to why I have so much pain every month, you know? So, yeah. I just can't wait for September. I can't wait to have my surgery. That way everything's all good to go, and we're good to start a family whenever we want to. Nothing else is standing in our way after that, pretty much. So some common questions with the surgery is like, you know, how much it costs, and rightfully so. That's a really important question. I have found that normally people, after everything is rolled into the amount, it's about $20,000 to $35,000 for the surgery, just to remove the septum. This is not to look for endometriosis either. That's completely separate. To remove the septum, it is about $20,000 to $35,000. And that, like I said, is including everything else. The surgery, that's your anesthesia, that's your hospital visit, because you're there for like the day, I guess, most of the day. It's an outpatient procedure. And, you know, yeah, all those people have to get paid to do what they do. So, And I've talked to a lot of women. Also, if you do have a septate uterus and a bicornuate uterus, this totally reminded me. I do belong to groups on Facebook, such as like the bicornuate abnormality uterus group and a septate uterus group in Facebook. You know, you can just search those and they should come up. And there's a lot of women in there where you can ask them questions. I've asked them, you know, that's how I got what they were paying, was I took in everybody's info and kind of just, you know, to see what I can expect if my insurance didn't cover it all. So a lot of women said that, like, after their insurance kicked in, or depending on where they were with their co-payments for the year and all that stuff, it ranged anywhere from, I paid $100 to I paid $5,000. So still a lot better than like $30,000, but you know, it can still suck. You might still need to save up some cash for it. Or I mean, I guess maybe you could do care credit. I'm not sure. But yeah. Actually, you know, I don't know if you can do care credit. Anybody know? Can you do care credit for something like that? Or is that really only for like dental and like plastic surgery type shit? No, actually, I think you can do care credit for it. Because I think my mom did care credit when she had neck surgery. I think. Anyway, you know, so I'm sure there's ways to finance it or whatever. Of course, I will tell you care credit sucks. The interest rate is normally very, 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 very high. It's like 20-25%. That sucks. So if you can pay for it out of pocket, or at least half of it out of pocket, and finance the rest, do that. Do something. Or hopefully you've gotten hurt enough over the year, or you've gone to the doctor enough to where your co-insurance and your co-payments are taken care of and you're good or whatever. I don't know. I actually just found out today that I'm completely covered, so I'm not going to have to pay for anything with the surgery. Thank God. Because my husband was just like, well, if it's too high, you know, we're gonna have to wait to do it. And I was like, shit, I really don't want to wait. I just want to do it, get it done, be healed. That way when we're ready to start our family, we can start our family and everything's good. So, you know, the cost can be a little bit steep. However, it's worth it. It's worth it if you don't have to go through a lot of unnecessary heartbreak. Also, with the statistics that I gave you earlier, you know, that's what I've been able to find in research on it. And whenever you do have the surgery, it takes your chance of a miscarriage from like 80% to I think only to like 19%. Drastic difference. And your chance of, you know, not having a live birth go from 90% to like 11%. It's crazy. So the surgery is definitely well worth it if you want to start a family and this is something that you have and you're really, really scared to get pregnant because you don't want to go through the loss or heartbreak, or you feel like you can't celebrate because you're afraid you're going to lose your baby. You know, that's horrible, and that's a horrible feeling. That's not a way to celebrate pregnancy. You know, so I feel for all of y'all who are unsure or who don't know or haven't been given a true diagnosis yet. Definitely don't just stick with a doctor who doesn't want to do anything, who doesn't want to work for you, who doesn't want to figure stuff out and properly diagnose you. It is very important to get a proper diagnosis and to get a doctor who will give you the tests that you need and will come up with a good care plan to figure out what you need to get that corrected. So anyway, I hope that this helps y'all. I will be documenting the whole journey of going through this and going through my procedure and all that. So stay tuned for more. I can't talk. Stay tuned for more videos on that. Those aren't the only videos that I'm going to be doing here on my channel. I'm going to be doing a bunch of different ones when I have time. Right now, I also go to college full time, and I go to college all year round. So I do not get any time off except for holidays because I go in the summer, I go in the fall, I go in the spring, and I also do every mini-mester that I can if my classes are permitted. So it's very hard for me to find time sometimes, but I'll try to get videos up on things that I can. But I'm going to have a bunch of other stuff up here too, you know, things that deal with like beauty and, you know, maybe trips around the city, whatever. So hopefully you stay tuned for that. And if you are someone who's going through fertility issues or someone who has a septate or bicornuate uterus, I hope that you stay tuned and watch all these, and hopefully it gives you a little bit of hope to just keep going and to find the answers that you're looking for. Because sometimes just because someone says no doesn't mean that it is no. You just need to find the right person who can give you the answers and who wants to do the research for you and the in-depth search to know what is truly wrong and who wants to correct it. So anyway, I hope y'all enjoyed this video. Sorry if I'm rambling so freaking much. It is so freaking hot in my apartment, and it is so hot and just so uncomfortable. Like, all of this is highlight, but it's also a little bit of sweat too. So anyway, guys, again, this is Southern and Sandy. I really hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you will stay tuned for more. Bye, guys.